A very good evening, friends, and a warm welcome to the 1159th edition of KK Talks. And today is our series of Barrow Buddies, the person's voice, where we talk about very interesting aspects related to obesity. And we have a very special guest today who will address a very special topic. So, the topic for today is. Yes, so the topic of today is adolescents against obesity. And I think if I just take an anecdote from my clinical practice, I would not uncommonly have a patient who's probably 14 or 15 years old who dreads to go to school not because of exams, not because of studies, but because of lunchtime. Lunchtime, if they have to go to the canteen, often the child would tell me that it takes much longer to reach to the canteen. It's more like a marathon, and it's not longer because of physical fitness or they find it difficult to reach to the canteen, but there's so much of stigma associated with obesity, so many whispers, stares, jokes about weight, that these children often have very poor confidence, low amount of friendships, and they find it so difficult to handle obesity. But nevertheless, I must tell you that the stigma against obesity needs to be tackled. And we're going to learn some ways as to what is the best way, what are the best practices uh, against obesity. If we talk of the triple A, adolescents against obesity, today we have a special guest who would throw insights. Being an adolescent herself, she's going to tell us how and what are the adolescents feeling and what are the best ways for all of us to learn as to how to handle obesity in adolescents. So warm welcome to our special guest for today, Kanisha Kalra.
Hi, good afternoon, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Kanisha, and thank you so much for joining us. Kanisha is a class 11 student, an adolescent, and hailing from the city of Hyderabad. And we are really grateful to you. You've taken out time from your busy studying
Mm.
schedule to join us today for this show. And thank you so much, for this. And we are really looking forward to listening to you. There are already a lot of greetings pouring in from a lot of people, as you can see in the chat box. There are questions already pouring in about how to adolescents take leadership roles, and people are really excited and really looking forward to listen to you. But let's get started with a few basic questions to begin with, and definitely we will take questions from our audience as well. A lot of people are saying hi to you, Kanisha, but then before we take those questions, maybe, you know, uh, how would you put it in your words, if I was to know from you how obesity can affect the health of a teenager? What would you say?
Even though it's a disease, it's as much as a mental thing than as a physical thing, because the amount of low self esteem, the stigma related to obesity, as you mentioned, and the self worth that you feel, it does have a lot of physical aspects to it, like diabetes, hypertension. But as a student, if you do face obesity, the it's mainly the mental things that you go through, like it's it causes anxiety, depression, and I think that is the biggest impact it has for a student's life rather than the physical aspect of it.
Thank you, Kanisha, for that very, very insightful, thought. I think a very clear message Kanisha is telling all of us, as doctors, as healthcare professionals from my side, we are often focused on the disease part. We are always, talking about the metabolic problems that obesity brings to the table. But I think when we get into the shoes of adolescents, how they feel about what should be done about obesity, it's not so much that they're worried about diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, but it is the psychological impact that needs to be addressed. And I think that is a very, very important question, a very, very important point. And I think a learning point for all of our healthcare professionals who've joined us today from across the country and overseas, that when we meet a student or a child with obesity in our clinical practice, please don't stick on just to the metabolic problems, as Kanisha has told. We face and look and talk about the psychological aspects, which indeed are very important as well. I understand that obesity is a growing problem in children. There are a lot of statistics, and I'm not going to bore you with all of that, but definitely, obesity is becoming big in school children. A lot of data from North India, South, West, and East India have shown that. And whatever prevalence, say 20 years ago, was 2, 3, 5%, today we'd say is 15 to 20%. I would say that 1 in 5, children in schools have obesity. So, Kanisha, what would you say? Why is obesity becoming so rapidly a growing concern in adolescents in India?
As a student myself, I would say it's the sedentary lifestyle that we live, always sitting, always focused on studying. Physical activity does not take a priority if that is your main focus, studying. And I think excessive screen time plays a big role too. Um, it's unhealthy eating habits, because when you are focused on something, you don't think about taking the effort in making a healthy snack. You grab a quick packet of chips, or like a can of Sprite. And I think reduced physical activity also, as I've experienced this myself. If I have exam times, or if I have a test coming up or a presentation, I wouldn't necessarily focus on my physical activity, because that takes a backseat. So I think that's the biggest concern of obesity growing rapidly in India.
Right, right. Very, very valuable points, Kanisha. Definitely, I think all our focus as parents, as doctors, we are always, looking at the academic aspect. And having said that, after COVID, definitely screen time has increased rapidly in children. And definitely, this is something which is, and indeed, an important reason why obesity is increasing very, very rapidly. And let's look at what our audience is asking. Again, Mr. Ramji Agarwal is saying hello to you. There are greetings from Dr. Bharti, Dr. Sanjay, Arnav, Kathy, Manoj Kalra, and a lot of people who have joined in to listen to you. There is a question from the audience. They're asking you, how can adolescents take leadership in helping their parents and grandparents fight obesity? So can they be the, people who speak up and help their parents and grandparents fight obesity?
Sir, I'm sorry, you cut out there for a bit. Could you?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it got cut a bit, but then
Yeah.
if I could re-ask the question, how can
Yes.
adolescents take leadership roles in helping their parents and grandparents fight adiposity? So how is that?
I think our
Yeah.
our generation is more in tune with our mental health and our physical health. So I feel that we should not necessarily force, but maybe educate our parents on the different aspects. Like when you go to your grandparents' house, it's always like khana khilao. Matlab, that's how Indian parents show love. But I think we, as the younger generation, should educate our parents, telling that food, yes, it might be a main love language, but we should keep it in moderation, and start providing healthy snacks instead of rich and heavy foods like fresh fruits or nuts. And this is how we as adolescents should take the leadership role, and we should educate parents on how the mental health aspects of it as well. If a child is suffering from obesity, then they should, instead of forcing them or being told something, they should understand what the child is going through and then work on it towards that in a positive way.
Very, very important points, Kanisha. Thank you for pointing that out. I completely agree. Food is often the love language of parents and grandparents. And I think as adolescents, as children, it is our duty and responsibility to help them look beyond that. Very good, healthy options that you've mentioned, fruits, nuts, they are also healthy, but again, they can be still within the food category. So yes, definitely, I think adolescents do play a very important role in the family. I can share you one example where we at Valor, say about 10 years ago, we did a study in school children and their parents, looking at how obesity and other metabolic problems exist. We were quite surprised. 30% of school children in a small city like Vellore, Vellore is not a two-tier city or a three-tier city. It is very, very small, and still 30%, one out of three school children between the classes of ninth and 12th had obesity. But I think the impact of that study was that, when they went back home and, they spoke to their parents about it, the overall eating pattern, the kind of tiffins they used to bring to school, everything had a very good impact. So yes, it does make a big role. And all the adolescents who are listening to us, I think you do have a role within your own family to handle obesity. So Kanisha, taking the talk further, what kind of physical activities do you think that adolescents would enjoy, and that would also indirectly help in maintaining weight? So what would be your perspective as an adolescent yourself as to what kind of physical activities you think will be very, very helpful?
I've observed that in the younger age group, it's mostly cycling, swimming, all of these very active sports. But then in my age group, which is like 16 to 19, I've observed that people prefer going to the gym. I think the main thing is just keep moving, not necessarily having like a set workout time, or it's just keep walking, try not to sit as much. Something that I've adopted is that when I'm studying, I walk and study, or I walk and read, or like in the evening I take walks around my community. But if you have time in school, then you can take a walk around lunch also. It just keep moving is the main thing. But the main thing I've seen is that kids my age or kids younger than me, they mainly enjoy playing sports that they've played when they were younger. Like,
Great. And again, I think very important points you've highlighted. It's not this activity or that activity is best. I think it differs from person to person, differs even within the age groups, as you rightly mentioned, within the adolescents as well. But I think what we are really looking forward, what we are really trying to understand is that, as Kanisha mentioned, we keep moving. आप जो भी काम कर रहे हैं उसमें आप you can bring in exercise. जैसे उन्होंने बोला पढ़ाई करते वक्त you can walk. Otherwise, if you are planning to go to the market, rather than go on a bike or a bicycle, maybe just walk there, rather than taking a bus. If there is wherever possible, walking. But also, I think a very important point that does click to a lot of people. जो sports आपने बचपन में खेले हैं या छोटे होते you've liked them. Getting back to them is much, much easier because you've done them well before, earlier in life. And I think that's not only for children, even for adults. If I was a very good tennis player, then I would might as well go back to tennis much easily rather than think of another sports. And yes, gyms are helpful, and then that is very, very true. So and I think your compliments are just pouring in as much. You're speaking very confidently, Kanisha. Well done. You are opening your mind. You're opening minds of everybody who's joined us, and people are greeting you remarkably. So let's move on to our discussion. We talked about exercise, but how about unhealthy foods, and talking a bit on diet? How would you suggest, as an adolescent, we can resist peer pressure to eat unhealthy food? कई बार ऐसा होता है कि we are just sitting somewhere and everybody says खा लो, कुछ नहीं होता, आज खा लो, कल देखी जाएगी, and that kind of an attitude. What would you say? How would people resist in your age group unhealthy eating?
mm, from what I would say is that it's not that you should cut it out completely. You should eat it in a moderated amount, because um, I personally think that it's too young to completely cut down on all of these junk foods. Or if I don't think that it's necessary to cut it down completely. Yes, eat it in moderation. If you are suffering from a certain health issue, then you should cut it out. But in this instance where your friend is offering you something, you can always eat it in moderation. No one told you to eat the whole thing that they're offering. You can eat it, you can eat a small part of it, is what I'm trying to say. Or if you do like chips or cold drinks or sugary sweets, then it's not necessary that you have to have it every day. Once a week is fine, once in 2 weeks is fine, whatever you feel comfortable with. But in peer pressure, it's not necessarily peer pressure. I think you yourself should adopt it. No one is going to force you, um no one is going to stop you yourself have to do it.
I think that's again a very insightful answer. This thing has to come from within, and I also completely agree. Even not for children, but even in adults, we don't have to completely stop anything. You can eat in moderation. Portion control is important, not only with respect to eating at one time, but rather than eating three times a sweet in a week, you can make it once or twice. Rather than taking two or three kaju barfi, maybe take one. So
Yes.
everywhere, you can reduce it. Don't say no. You don't hurt the people who are offering you, but at the same time, you are having good portion control. And if you do, indulge in eating a lot, then exercise that much. Know the amount of calories extra you've done. You can always burn it
Yes.
out later. Before or during the day. So I think that is a very, very important tip. I think we are learning a lot from you, Kanisha. Thank you for those very, very insightful answers. Let's move our discussion further. And a big problem when we talk of adolescent obesity, when I go to schools and talk to principals, teachers, and students, it's hard to sometimes convince them as to what they should do for controlling obesity. What would you suggest as a student yourself as to what are the more effective ways in which schools could implement something to control obesity?
I think they should create awareness about it, and they should implement counseling sessions on taking healthier choices in school canteens. Keep less unhealthy options and more healthier options. And in serving school lunches, they can go for more. They should stop. They should put more salads in the menu, is what I feel, and offer more. I think. Fried like pulao based dishes, so that it's easy, it's fun for a kid to eat, but it's also healthy in the same at the same time. But I think that's the most that schools can do, is the counseling sessions, so that children are aware of what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do.
Right. And I think what you're talking is something that a lot of people agree to, bringing health as a subject in school so that, everybody is aware of, what the healthy things are and what they should do. And yes, it is important not only to have the healthy items, but making it fun, as you said. And then that really adds on to the, kind of applicability as well as, uptake of such interventions. Very well said, Kanisha. We talked about schools. Uh, how about parents? And I think schools are still easier to convince, but uh, parents are often working these days. They don't have time in the morning to pack a very nutritious, big lunch. It's often the unhealthy items which are easier to pack. But what would be your advice to parents? How would they support their children avoiding obesity?
From what I was observed is that rather than main meals, I snack more. So if the snacking is the main issue, is what I feel. If I keep snacking unhealthily, like chips, sugary sweets, all of that, then it is a big cause of concern, because that is my main food intake. But if I can cut down on that and go for fruit, so if parents, even if they are working, they can keep fruit at home, because I think we as adolescents are self sufficient enough to cut our own fruit or to peel our own fruit. Um, that is a really good option. Or to stop buying, or stop encouraging the consumption of these, in not cut it out completely, and not make it a mandate. If you tell an adolescent no, they are going to do it. So instead of cutting it out completely, they you can start decreasing it slowly, not all at once, start decreasing it slowly. And for lunches, it's it's not in the parents control, it's not in the child's control as well. You can't stop that. But I think the most you can do is, instead of, you can do it the night before, or you can encourage the child themselves to do it the night before. There are solutions if you are willing to put the time and the work into do it.
Amazing. Kanisha, आप जो भी options बता रहे हैं, जो भी the kind of tips that you're giving, I think they're not only applicable to adolescents but even adults as well. A lot of this can be implemented. A lot of this is important. I think a very nice message that I liked you said, it's often not the meals that is the culprit. It is often the snacks, and choosing your healthy snacks which are high in protein, high in fiber, fruit based, nut based. I think they are something which are really important. Kanisha, again, you're getting loads of compliments from everyone. Manoj Kere, you're giving very practical tips. Kriti saying, I like your clarity of thought, love your inputs, Kanisha. So a whole lot of compliments coming into you. Well done and very well said. I think your tips are applicable, as I said, not only to children, not only to adolescents, but everybody, even adults as well. And I think very meaningful outputs for our all our listeners. I think since you mentioned that snacks are often the culprit, so what would be, in your opinion, easy healthy snacks that children or adolescents might like? Could you name a few, maybe four or five of them?
Um, my personal favorite, and it is cost effective as well, is yogurt tubs. You can buy them in like 6 packs, and then you could just keep them in the fridge. So, the non-sweetened ones specifically, then you can have them once a day. They're pretty filling also. Second again would be fruits, and it necessarily not be like apples. They can be your child's favorite fruit as well. Like, I really like guava, so my mother makes sure to keep some guava at home always, or pomegranate at home always. And then again, nuts. Nuts is not something that everyone is fond of, so it's not a personal favorite healthy snack. But a good substitute to it is makhana. A lot of people like it. There are multiple seasonings that you can put on it as well. It's a very diverse snack with not a lot of effort. Then I think you can have khakra. Khakra, those puffed rice crisps. Those are again very tasty, very diverse, different seasonings. Also, really easy to eat, accessible, cost effective. These are
Right.
just to name a few, but it's quite
So I
healthy
think
snacks are much more diverse than unhealthy snacks, I would say. Yeah.
lovely to hear that. So I think yes, there are really good options as you mentioned. Yogurt is not only filling; it's high in protein as well. And I think, as you mentioned, the non-sweetened ones are important. Makhanas, definitely for people who are from South India, West or East, who don't know the Hindi version, it is foxnut. And again, this is something which is easily available, very commonly used in the Indian, cuisine. So yes, makhanas are helpful, and the other options, as you mentioned, right from nuts to fruits. My daughter's favorite is also guava. So yes, guavas are liked by children. Again, very good in fiber. Something again that a lot of children can actually practice. So very well said, Kanisha. Let's take the discussion further on. We're talking about how obesity not only affects the physical problems, the metabolic problems, but also the psychological aspects among adolescents. So, what would you say about how it can affect the adolescent? We did start our discussion with that, but how does obesity affect the psychological health of children?
Um, as you've mentioned, it does lead to low self esteem, anxiety, depression. One thing that I've noticed too is that it sometimes leads to the person under eating as well. I've seen it happen to a lot of my classmates, and I think that is a point that should be focused on and should be given a lot of value. That it is not right that you are under eating because of how you feel about your body or obesity in general, and it should be focused on more, and there should be more counseling given towards it, how you can overcome obesity healthily. um, I've also, the main mental stigma around this is that you think about what people will think of you. But people don't, people's first thought for a person is not always negative. They will find the positives in you before they find the negative. So your
Right.
appearance is
I
not the main
Yeah.
thing. Your personality should be what you put forward. So I think that should be the main part of counseling, is that you can overcome this in a healthy way, and it's your personality that matters, not your appearance.
Right. Very, very important points, Kanisha. Thank you for those points. A very important take home message: build on your personality, focus on your personality. Don't, just go on crash diets. Don't deprive your body of essential nutrients. When we talk of malnutrition, it's not only, undernutrition, but obesity. Both of them are malnutrition. We have to find the path of going through the middle path of everything, going through, not going through the extremes is what really helps in life for possibly most decisions that we take. So I think, very well said. I'm wary of time. We have little time, but there are a lot of questions pouring in, a lot of questions coming in. Maybe I'll take the last two questions, Kanisha, from you. But I must compliment you. You are giving amazing inputs. You're definitely one of the brightest minds of your age, and
Thank
we're
you.
really privileged to have you here. So maybe the last two questions, maybe the first one of that would be, how do we handle obesity risk during festivals, celebrations, and possibly I met you sometime during a wedding, a family wedding. So
Yes.
how do
Yes.
we handle ourselves during these festival celebrations and weddings when we talk of obesity risk?
I think it's important to keep note that these festivals are made to enjoy. And if you do not have a certain health risk, or your doctor hasn't advised you to do something, then I feel that you should enjoy as much as your body allows you to enjoy. But again, keep in moderation. Don't overeat. Don't go to the fullest extent. But it is like these festivals are made to enjoy, and it's not that they happen every day. They're again a once in a while occasion that you can enjoy. But if you do have certain health risks, then you should definitely keep yourself in not only moderation, but keep yourself in check. Have someone else keep you in check. But if it is a wedding, for example, or a festival like Diwali, it is a time to enjoy, and it's not a time that you should take in account what you're eating, because as you said earlier, you can burn these calories off later, but at that one moment you shouldn't stop yourself from enjoying that festival. Eat as much as you want, as much as your body allows you to, and again, eat in moderation.
Lovely. So moderation is, I think, something that is coming up again and again. A very good point. I think what Kanisha mentioned is also very important in terms of sometimes our own self-control would fail, but having a barrow buddy, and that's the theme of our theme of series. Give the responsibility to somebody else, or mutually have a friend. Both of you tell each other that we have to keep in check. So even if one is slithering away the norm, the other would bring in the check, and therefore
Yeah.
you're able to balance. And if there is somebody else who's doing it with you, you don't feel all that bad, not
Yes.
eating everything in full extremes. Very, very important points. We are by the clock, another 1 minute. So Kanisha, uh, last question to you. I think, what is your message to all the adolescents who've logged in, all the adolescents who will listen to you on this podcast? This will be there on YouTube forever, so we really would want your thoughts. What one message would you like to give all the adolescents about staying healthy and fighting obesity?
The main thing is listen to what your body is telling you. It will tell you what it needs, and talk to someone about it. Talk to a trusted adult about it if you feel something is wrong, or you aren't, if there's a mental issue that you're going with, and it's not the end. You will overcome it. It's fine. You can get through it. Just talk to someone about it. Don't keep it within yourself, and eat as much as you're supposed to. Don't overeat, don't undereat. Keep your nutrients in check, and enjoy what you're eating. Don't Food is your friend, not your enemy.
Lovely, lovely messages. Thank you, Kanisha, for all those very, very positive points that you've left all our audience with. It was really great having you. Thank you so much for those very
Thank you.
thoughtful and insightful answers. And thank you for joining us. It would be lovely to have you back sometime again, discussing some more in detail. I think half an hour is too short to quiz
Yeah.
your brilliant mind, but we'll
Thank you
definitely have
so
you
much.
again. But for today, do we have a certificate for Kanisha for her amazing answers? And here it is. Thank you,
Thank you.
Kanisha, for joining us. We would love to host you again sometime in future, but great answers, great, lovely compliments pouring for you from all across the country, and really, really appreciate your time for us
Thank you. It was
today.
a
And then
pleasure being here.
thank you. And then
Thank
we
you.
should be back with the next episode of KK Pet Talks again tomorrow. So thank you, Kanisha. See you
Thank
again. Bye.
thank you.
Bye.